I've got my phone on a folder tonight, and the folder doesn't seem to want to stick. So yes, welcome to Asexualise, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. Yes, we're settled now. So if you haven't already subscribed, hit the great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. So today I'm reviewing this Lorax, the Lorax film. This is a Dr. Seuss movie. So yes, Dr. Seuss. I love Dr. Seuss because it rhymes, and I haven't been feeling very well today. I went to the gym, as you know, a few days ago. It hasn't suited me at all. I was really dizzy last night. I had much more pain in my ankle, had some chest pains this morning. I woke up with pain in my back, more ankle pain, so my injury was made worse. And so yeah, it's not a good idea for me to go back to the gym. I tried it for a day, for an hour, it didn't work. So yes, but yeah, so I haven't been feeling too good today, so I have been resting with a movie, and this is what I decided to watch. It's a new movie I bought some time ago, new for me. It came out in 2012. And you'll be interested to know that it's actually got Betty White in it, who plays the grandma in it, the voice of Betty White. She is from the actress from the Golden Girls, who sadly passed away recently. So yeah, so anyway, this movie doesn't have any sex in it whatsoever, which I was really happy about, because as I'm asexual, I lack sexual attraction, I'm personally sex repulsed for me these days. I like to see movies that don't have any nudity in them, or you know, any sex in them basically, and this doesn't have any of them. So what is the story about? If you haven't watched this movie, then and you don't want spoilers, please don't watch this video. But if you're happy to have spoilers, happy to be told the plot basically and what happened, then please keep listening. I really love this movie, first of all, because of all the vibrant colours. It's always a quirky, vibrant movies, you know, usually by Dr. Seuss. This is like, you can see all the beautiful colours in here, and it really is a very visually spectacular movie. So basically, there's this there's a dual storyline running in this, right? You come into the film at this place called Thneedville, and what happens is the Lorax, that this creature here, it starts telling the story, and you find out in the Thneedville that there's this guy called Ted who's got a crush on this girl called Audrey. So there's a little bit of romance going on there. And Audrey wants a real tree, because in Thneedville, there's no living things, no plants, and everything's basically, you know, plastic. So they have plastic trees, plastic grass, and then there's this guy who's like a Chinese guy, and he basically sells fresh air, because there's no fresh air, or a lack of fresh air there, because there's no trees, no real trees. There's nothing producing oxygen. So he's basically selling fresh air to keep his business, to keep like his business going. That's what he's doing, selling fresh air. That's his great idea, because everything's plastic, there's no trees or anything there. He will sell fresh air, and that's how he makes his money. And as we all know, trees make oxygen. But because there's no trees in this, it's a plastic place, you know, with plastic houses, plastic grass and everything. This is how this guy makes his money. And it shows the story of how Thneedville came to be Thneedville. But it also has a parallel. It has like the backstory shown in the current story. So it's got like parallel stories running, but they're interlinked. So it's very, very, very cleverly done. So basically, in Thneedville, there's this guy called Ted who's got this crush on this girl called Audrey, who he says is a woman because she's in a certain grade. And so anyway, he goes to visit her, and she says for her birthday she wants a real tree, you know, an actual real one, not a plastic one. So he tries to get his granny's advice, and his mum, you know, kind of gets in the way. So his granny has to like pretend to like because he wants to go out of this Thneedville to go and find a real tree. And the only person who knows how to do this is like the onesie, otherwise known as Beanpole, but is called a different, slightly different name to the onesie, as he's gotten older. But anyway, they have to find out basically this person. The granny says you've got to find this person because only they know what happened to the trees. If you want a tree, that's where you go. But it's quite comical because the mother of Ted, you know, keeps getting asked by the grandma to go out the way and get things like her false teeth, and she kind of pretends that she can't find them because she's so old, and really the granny is really with it. Throughout the whole film you'll see the granny is like a superhero granny. She may look old, but she's really, really young and vibrant and energetic, and you see her later doing all sorts of kind of like energetic stuff. It's really, really good. Anyway, so Ted goes out of Thneedville to try and find this person who can tell them, like the onesie, who can tell them about the tree. But they're not called onesie, they call it something slightly different. But you find out later when Ted goes to find this person that they want to go and tell their whole story of why it's their fault that the trees don't exist anymore. And in their younger childhood years, they were called onesie or beanpole, basically. And Ted hears the story of onesie and beanpole really wanted to prove to his parents that he could run a successful business. So he leaves his family, who don't believe he can do it, and he finds this place which has all these trees. These are trees, right? And he sets up like a home there, and he cuts down one of the trees, right? But the trees belong to all these woodland creatures like the bears and the ducks and the geese, and also the Lorax. He's like looks after the forest. He like talks on behalf of the trees, right? So when he chops this tree down, the Lorax appears, which is a really cool character and very cute as well, I have to say. But he looks a bit old, but with a mustache on. But anyway, so he comes down from like the heavens, and he's basically trying to stop Beanpole from trying to cut the trees down. It's like, why have you cut one down? And Bonzi, known as Beanpole, decides that he's to promise a Lorax that he won't do anything anymore. And so he becomes like friends with the Lorax and the bears and things like that, and they kind of play cards together and stuff. But what happens is Onesie Beanpole is still trying to prove his worth to his parents, and from the tree cut down, he takes all these leaves and he makes this garment out of it. And this garment can be used like as a hat, it can be used like as a scarf, it could be used as a shawl, it could be used as a number of things. And he takes it out and he does busking. He's got this guitar and he does busking, and he tries to get people to buy this item of clothing, if you like, this garment. But people are shoving tomatoes in his face, and eventually gives up and he just throws it and tosses it to some, and it lands on this woman on the bench, who then has it settle on her head like a hat. And then there's two women who care about appearances, and they're like, oh, I want a hat like that. It's all the rage. And so anyway, loads of people decide to like it. They all go to Beanpole's home, which is where the forest animals are with the Lorax. And in the end, he just gets really greedy, the Beanpole does, and he builds like this factory, and he constantly cuts down trees, makes more and more garments, so he makes millions of pounds basically, until there are absolutely no trees left whatsoever. And basically he stopped his own business. And then his mum's basically, like one of her other relatives or children, I think one of her other children, I don't know if it's cousin or one of their other kids, is of Beanpole, is basically in favour now because he's not making money anymore. So all his mum cared about was money, whereas Ted's Ted's listening to all this. Ted's listening to the older version of Beanpole, who knows what happened to the trees. He's listening to all this story because this is what happened to the trees. But Beanpole's grown like a huge beard, has been hiding himself away in shame that he actually did this. And basically, you know, and anyway, after there's another plot, you know, where the guy who's got the business selling fresh air, he catches on to the fact that Ted is trying to get a tree from the older version of Beanpole, but he doesn't want Ted to get that tree because he's selling fresh air, and trees produce oxygen naturally, so he wouldn't need to sell it anymore, so he'd be out of business. But anyway, eventually when Ted's heard the whole story, Beanpole gives him the only thing he's got, which is this seed which can grow a new tree, and it's the only one left. And he said, you know, it's up to you to plant it and to convince everyone that they should be having real trees, not plastic anymore. So in the end, Ted takes this seed back, and the problem is the bad guy tries to take it off them because obviously the bad guy's going to go out of business. He doesn't want people to have free oxygen via a tree because then he won't be able to sell air because people already have air whenever they want it for free. So he tries to like chase Ted, and then his mum ends up on a scooter with the granny and Ted himself. His mum finds out what's going on, and they all end up on this scooter in this chase where they're trying to keep the seed and trying to plant it and find some garden to plant it in, but they, you know, some earth, but it's all artificial grass. So the grandma ends up getting this dumper truck, this crane or whatever, and trying to dig part of the grass up to put the seed in to plant it, but the baddies trying to stop them. And in the end, they ask the people of the community what they really want, and luckily at the end they side with Ted, and the bad guy who's been trying to sell them fresh air doesn't win. So it's really good. And once that tree's grown, loads of trees come back, and then the older version of Beanpole comes out of hiding, and the Lorax comes back because the trees are basically flourishing again, and he cuddles the Lorax, and you know, they're reunited, and the Lorax is happy with him once again. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. If you do get it on disc, I'd highly recommend it, the Blu-ray, because there's lots and lots of special bonuses things on here. I mean, I really loved it. There's 3 mini movies, and I watched all the mini movies. They're really interesting. They've got some games on there as well, and they have interviews with people like Zac Efron plays Ted, the voice of Ted, and there's a singer that plays one of the other characters' voices, Audrey's. Betty White, like I said, who's recently passed away, who used to be in the Gone Girl, she's a grandma. She's really good at the grandma. So this was like 10 years ago, because it's 2022 now, and it was 2012 when this came out. So yeah, it's a really, really good movie. There's a song at the end all about growing the seed and basically growing yourself, planting that seed, and being who you truly are. And I just love that positive ending. And in the end, Audrey gives Ted a kiss on the cheek because he's always wanted to get a kiss from her throughout the film. So yeah, so there's a bit of a romantic storyline, but there's the two simultaneous kind of like the Ted wanting to get a tree for his the girl he's got a crush on, coupled with the fact of what happened, with Beanpole, and he was too greedy and he cut down all the trees. So there's like. But Beanpole's still alive, so like both of the stories are interlinked. It's very clever. I really, really loved it. I thought it was a great movie. I'd highly recommend seeing it. It was something I thought about seeing on the cinema years ago, but didn't. But even if I had seen it on the cinema, I would have thought it was well worth the money. So please, I only paid £2 for this from Poundland. And like I said, the bonus features are really good. You get a lot of good bonus features on there. And one of them, you explore all the land. And the garment he made is called a Thned, THNEED, which is why they got the name in the beginning from the place called Thneedville, because he built that basically with all the, you know, with all the plastic stuff in the end. As far as I can tell. Oh, actually, I don't know that he did build it. I think the evil guy might have took over, because Beanpole's still in the place where he chopped down the trees. So it's not until the end that trees start growing there again. So I think it's maybe the baddie that ended up. That's the only bit I'm confused about. I think it might be the baddie that ended up with taking over Thneedville anyway, you know, and having all this plastic there, because he got the idea when Beanpole like cut down the trees and finished cutting down the trees and his business went out of business. That's when the Chinese guy started his own business of actually selling air. And so I think Thneedville was probably born of that. I'm not sure. So that was the only thing I guess I wasn't 100% certain of. But yeah, it's a really good movie. Go and see it. You know, see it wherever you can. You know, I don't know if it's on Netflix or if you can see it on some channel, or if you just want to hire it or get it or buy it on DVD or Blu-ray. I'd highly recommend the Blu-ray because, like I said, the bonus features on here are really good. So please do go and watch it. It's a great movie. No sex, a little bit of romance, but really fun, vibrant, energetic, colourful movie. Really loved it. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe. I think I already said that. And hit the bell icon, that's what I need to say, so you get notified every time I go live like now, post a new video. Lots of love to you, take care, bye.